What happens when someone spends almost 10 years putting everyone else first? That's the question Angelina Jolie unexpectedly answered this week, and her response wasn't about Hollywood, awards, or another blockbuster. It was about something far more personal. For the first time in years, Jolie admitted that she hasn't dated anyone since her split from Brad Pitt in 2016. After nearly a decade focused almost entirely on her children and rebuilding her life, she says she's finally beginning to think differently, and that revelation has fans seeing her in a completely new light. The confession came while promoting her new film, Couture. In the movie, Jolie plays Maxine Walker, a filmmaker who unexpectedly finds love in Paris while navigating a breast cancer diagnosis. At first glance, it sounds like fiction. But Jolie explained that the role forced her to confront something she'd quietly pushed aside for years. She realized she'd convinced herself that being a devoted mother meant romance simply wasn't part of her life anymore. Then she began asking herself a different question. What if those two things were never meant to be mutually exclusive? That realization became even more emotional because Couture touched a deeply personal part of her own history. Jolie's mother, Marcolene Bertrand, died from complications related to ovarian and breast cancer, and Jolie has spoken publicly in the past about taking preventative medical steps because of her family's history. Revisiting those emotions through Maxine's journey wasn't easy, but she says it also became unexpectedly healing. Instead of seeing illness or hardship as the defining chapters of a woman's identity, the film reminded her that love, hope, and vulnerability can still exist alongside them. Then came perhaps the most surprising part of her story. According to Jolie, the people encouraging her to rediscover herself weren't Hollywood friends or industry insiders. It was her daughters. Zahara, Shiloh, and Vivienne have reached an age where they're beginning to see their mother not just as mom, but as a woman with dreams, emotions, and a life beyond parenting. Jolie said watching them grow into confident young women made her reflect on what she hopes they never lose, and in doing so, she realized she may have set aside parts of herself along the way. She even admitted, "Life has broken me a little," before adding that she now feels it's time to live again and be free again. Of course, many fans immediately connected those comments to her highly publicized relationship with Brad Pitt. While Jolie didn't criticize her former husband during the interview, the timeline naturally drew attention. The couple separated in 2016. Their divorce was finalized years later, and legal proceedings involving Chateau Miraval continue. Just days ago, there was another court development in that long-running dispute, although representatives for Jolie have maintained that she's primarily looking forward to resolving the matter so everyone involved can finally move on. The legal case remains active, and both sides continue to present their positions through the courts. As clips from the interview spread online, the response shifted away from celebrity gossip and towards something much more personal. Many fans praised Jolie for speaking honestly about how trauma can quietly reshape someone's priorities. Others pointed out that after years of headlines focused on divorce battles and courtroom updates, this was one of the first times she'd openly discussed what healing actually looks like from her perspective. At the same time, some online discussions speculated about whether her comments hinted at future relationships. Those theories remain exactly that speculation. Jolie herself didn't mention any current romantic partner, and multiple recent reports continued to describe her as single. In many ways, this wasn't really a story about dating at all. It was about identity. About realizing that years spent protecting your family don't have to mean giving up pieces of yourself forever. Jolie isn't announcing a new relationship or teasing some dramatic Hollywood comeback. Instead, she's describing something quieter, but perhaps even more meaningful: the possibility of embracing a new chapter after believing the door had already closed. Whether that next chapter eventually includes romance or not remains to be seen. What seems clear is that Angelina Jolie is no longer defining herself solely through the challenges of the past decade. And judging by the reaction from fans, many believe that's the most inspiring update she's shared in years. The real question now is this: after everything she's experienced, do you think Angelina Jolie is finally ready to start living for herself again?